Remember all the nonsense from James Comer and Jim Jordan? The payoffs, the Biden crime family, all the Chinese, the millions and millions of dollars that were taken in bribes, taken in by the family. Joe Biden's brother and his evil, evil son, Hunter. And that investigation, as predicted, it didn't take some kind of a prognosticator. I didn't have to look into a crystal ball to tell you it was going to just evaporate. It happened before I thought it would because I didn't know Joe Biden was going to drop out of the presidential race. But as soon as he did, it just into the ether, the investigation went. And now I hold in my hands 5 or so pages of a 24-page plea agreement with the federal government from the man who brought that conspiracy theory and lie to James Comer. His name is Alexander Smirnov, and he has pleaded guilty to several counts. And I want to read a couple of them to you. But this really is evidence here, and it is sad to me. And I mean, I don't use that euphemistically. It is sad. It is depressing. It is disconcerting that a slight majority of the American voters decided that Donald Trump should be president again. When his party that he leads used Russian propaganda, which was admitted to in this plea agreement, Russian propaganda to try to take down the seated president of the United States, the current president of the United States. It was an effort by Russia to take him out, to place Donald Trump in that office. And Republicans, they were agents of Russia. Witting or unwitting, there's a combination of both here. They used willingly Russian propaganda to attack the president of the United States of their country. These are just a couple. This is nature of offenses. Defendant understands that for defendant to be guilty of the crime charged in count 2 in the obstruction of justice indictment, that is causing the creation of a false and fictitious record in violation of 18 U.S. Code subsection 1519. The following must be true. 1A, first, defendant knowingly caused the making of a false entry in an FBI form 1023, a record and document. And B, second, defendant acted with the intent to impede, obstruct, or influence an actual or contemplated investigation on a matter within the jurisdiction of the United States Department of Justice, a department and agency of the United States. All these facts were stipulated to in the plea agreement. He's pleading guilty to these, and then the other ones are tax related. I'm going to read a little bit from this New Republic article entitled, Surprise! Key Witness Reveals He Lied About Biden Corruption. Alexander Smirnov admitted he fabricated the conspiracy that Joe Biden and his son Hunter had made millions from a Ukrainian energy company. And the Republicans used him as the linchpin, as the tip of the spear for their conspiracy theory that they knew was untrue, to convince Americans that there was something wrong, something criminal, something untoward with the Biden family. What's that say? When one of the two functional political parties in the country, the two parties with any power or access to power or claim on power whatsoever, electorally, are agents for the Russian government, are agents for a malign foreign dictator. The ex-FBI informant who accused President Joe Biden and his son Hunter of netting millions of dollars in bribes from Ukrainian energy company Burisma has admitted that the whole story was a dud. In a plea agreement, Alexander Smirnov admitted to completely fabricating the conspiracy that became central to the Republican effort to impeach the sitting president. Smirnov agreed to plead guilty to 4 felony charges, which include 1 count of obstruction of justice and 3 tax evasion charges. You've just read those. Moving on. In June 2020, Smirnov falsely reported to the FBI that Burisma executives had paid Biden and his son millions of dollars. The fake claim was part of a larger series of unfounded allegations that accused Biden of improperly leveraging his position as vice president at the time to prevent a corruption investigation into Burisma, of which Hunter sat on the board. The fraudulent tale also sparked an October surprise in the 2020 election about Hunter Biden's laptop, which Trump allies Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon insisted contained evidence that Biden and Burisma advisor had held a meeting. The New York Post, which ran the original story on its front page, later said that the contents of the laptop were mixed with fake material and most of the data could not be verified. Shocker. After the fact. It's just like a correction in a newspaper. The lie, the incorrect thing gets printed on page 1 on the front page above the fold, and then the correction is buried on page 36. This is how it works. The lie gets seen by millions of people, and the correction, 10 or 20 people know. Smirnov could face anywhere between 2 and 6 years behind bars for fabricating the story, though Donald Trump could potentially commute his sentence or outright pardon the conservative witness once he returns to the White House. In February, the Justice Department revealed that Smirnov admitted to prosecutors that, quote, officials associated with Russian intelligence were involved in developing the Hunter Biden narrative. In the ensuing fallout over the DOJ indictment, Smirnov told investigators he was in contact with, quote, 4 different top Russian officials, 2 of whom were the heads of the entities they represent. So Republicans used Russian disinformation and propaganda to attack a seated United States president. Who's the enemy of the people? Is it the media? Am I the enemy of the people? Or is it elected Republicans who are using propaganda and disinformation from the intelligence service of a hostile foreign power to take down their political opponent, who happens to be the President of the United States of America? Who's the enemy here? Using Russian stooges to try to take down the president. Some would call that treason. Would they not? Some would call that treason. While they wave their flags and they whip out their pocket constitutions, they talk about the troops. Fake patriots. Disgusting liars. All in service to propping up Donald Trump, who now, because of the Supreme Court ruling, has absolute immunity, up to and including dispatching special operations units of the United States military to assassinate political rivals that he deems corrupt. It's going to get worse before it gets better. He's not even president yet, and they're already signaling what they're going to do. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation, a depressing one, albeit. You can comment below. That'll help YouTube to share this content with new users, new viewers, new possible subscribers, and that is fantastic. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I want to hear from you. Please consider supporting independent media. If I am your flavor of political commentator, if I'm the guy that brings you value more than others, if others bring you more value, support those people. Independent media, very important right now, critically important right now. But if I am that person, click the join button, $2 a month. You can help support this work, help me produce these videos. You can also go over to my Patreon page, which doesn't just support the podcast that Brittany Page and I do weekly. It also supports this work. You can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Dollemore.info, you can buy yourself a mug or a sticker or a t-shirt. All that goes a long way, and you get something tangible in return. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.